Welcome to The Patty Show. My name is Patty Setiatti, and in this podcast, we'll explore the crossing point of the three P's: passion, pleasure, and positivity, and how they can lead you to your own personal paradise. We'll chat with inspiring guests, share practical tips, and dive into stories that will empower you to live your best life. Let's get the Patty Party started. Welcome back to The Patty Show, everybody. Woo! Oh my goodness. Thank you, studio audience. Thank you. You guys are very powerful today and stylish, as you can see over here. We'll get to you eventually. Arigato, arigato. Thank you guys for coming to The Patty Show. We're on episode 45. That's insane. 45 right there. Pleasure and pursuit of pleasure. We're diving into the juicy, joyful world of pleasure. And, not just the, steamy kind. But we can talk about that a little bit too. We're going to have some fun with pleasure today. But before we continue on the episode, just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to our Squid Game brother, Hayden. Thanks for coming on the show. Thank you. Thank you, studio audience. Thanks for coming in on the show. Super inspiring Australian out there. Dog lover. He was in the Hallmark show. I forget the name. Finding Mr. Christmas. Doing a lot of great things as a working actor. Super inspirational. Thanks for being vulnerable and sharing. And it was a fun episode. So this one is also going to be a fun episode because today, guys, finally, episode 45. Joining me, he is an accomplished event manager, principal consultant, overall successful inspiration, a passionate man in the entertainment, production, operations world. He is not only the director of PRocon. I don't know if that's how you say it. Is that how you say it?
PRocon.
PRocon, thank you, sir. But also my former team lead, my brother, family that always made Squid Game memorable. And honestly, those tough days, you made it easy, my man.
Oh.
Give it up for Thomas, everybody. Woo!
Thank you.
Arigato. Thanks for coming to the Patty Show, brother.
I'm so excited to be here. Finally got the chance to make it over, so I'm so happy.
Oh, I'm so grateful you're here. If you could give a little self-intro to everybody,
Sure.
Background, passions, of course, how we met. We teased it a little bit, but all that good stuff. Yeah.
Well, I describe myself as a jack of all trades. I am an entrepreneur. I am an event planner and manager. I'm also a talent manager. I love the entertainment industry ever since I was young. I used to sing. My mom would say that I used to sing a lot around the house. So I really loved music. I remember her giving me my first cassette tape, which was a Slick Rick tape. And I was back in the backseat of our station wagon listening to that. And so I've loved music for all of my life. I even tried to play an instrument at one point, and it just didn't work out.
No, it's hard. It's hard out here.
I was not blowing in the trumpet the correct way. It was
Shout out to the trumpet players out there.
Yes, very tough to play an instrument, a brass instrument. But I've been doing events for almost 2 decades now. I started in undergrad planning homecoming
2 decades.
experiences.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's
I thought you just turned 28
years now.
2 decades.
15 years now.
Oh my goodness.
So we're almost to that 2-decade point. But I just love creating experiences for people. I think oftentimes people spend their money on their rent. They spend money on their bills, phone bill, car note, and the little bit of money they have left, they spend it on experiences. And so I want to make sure that when I'm planning an event or I'm in charge of something, that experience is a great memory for them to take with them. And so anything that I do, whether it's managing talent or managing an event, I like to make sure I do it to the top of my ability. So that's a little bit of me in a nutshell.
Well, he does it all. I'm telling you. You see that jack of all trades, master of everything. Our time at Squid Game, man. Oh my God, a time. The fact that we talked about this earlier, but it was like almost a year and a half ago. But it feels like I saw you yesterday.
No time has passed.
And those are the best relationships, the best connections out there. It's hard to find out there, especially like in this type of space. Entertainment can be very like quick paced, very volatile. But the fact that you've always been so genuine. Here's my flowers section of the Patty Show. I don't have the sound effects yet. We're gonna get there. Maybe episode 445.
Sure.
Amen to that.
I mean, closer than that.
Hopefully,
yes.
But my flowers to you, man. I remember exactly the first day we met.
Yes.
This was honestly, I think the first or second week I moved to LA. I was still kind of new.
Okay.
I'm like, damn, this is so nerve-wracking. I haven't worked this type of job in like ages. I come in, he's my lead, showing me the ropes, showing me the way. I felt the comfort from the first introduction.
And every day, I'm telling you, even if it was rain or shine,
Yeah.
you know that person, it was raining, which was the randomest thing. Because I'm like, did I bring the rain from Connecticut? I'm like, I go to LA thinking like it's gonna be sunshine, rainbows. No, it was raining that day.
And I felt so bad because at the end of the shift, I had left and you were there still, and it was raining, and I forgot. I was like, oh my God, I left him out there.
that was an experience. I'm not gonna lie to you. But man, every single moment I knew that you were on the schedule, I knew it was gonna be a party.
Oh.
In the best way possible. And it was the balance too, because you always knew how to make sure things were done. Mm-hmm. You know, like whenever there's those crazy guests out there, you know, we were dealing with some crazy ones with the front of house and everything. Entitled. Ooh, oh, yes. Super entitled.
Yes.
I'm VIP. And all, like, all right, VIP. Wait in line. Wait in line like everybody else, you know. But you taught me so much about being humble, but also having your presence in the room, you know, like not just being passive, but having your presence, man, it was felt all the time. Like everyone in the staff, back of house, front of house, always had great things to say about you, your energy, not just because he's also 6'5". 6'5" tall.
You are too kind.
Super tall, but that energy also, like, I'm telling you, it just radiates. It's just glowing. And man, I miss seeing it. I'm glad we're here in person today, my brother.
Thank you.
I appreciate you
a lot. That means a lot. Thank you so much.
Arigato, all that good stuff, man. So speaking of your event experience, man, I want to talk about the Mimosa events that you hosted for how long? How many years was it?
This is the first year that I came on board as the festival director, but the Mimosa City, which is its own entity, they've been doing events for about 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah, that I don't know if you guys have seen the interview online. You did great, by the way, in that interview.
Thank you.
Killing it over here. I have to do my research over there. You know, you're having a fun time with the mimosas. So you said so in that interview, that was your friend from college? Or?
Yes, from undergrad. We actually were in the same radio production class. Shout out to Brian Naughton, who was our professor.
Brian, okay.
I met him then. I want to say he was a sophomore. By the time I met him, I was in what I like to call my first junior year, because it took me a while to graduate, not the traditional 4 years. But I had met him, and he had been doing those Mimosa City events maybe about 2 or 3 years right after that. Okay. And he had came to me. He was like, hey, you're the only person I know that has festival experience. I want to kind of scale this up. And so when he reached out to me, I was excited to kind of like help his vision come to life in that way. And so we spent 18 months just on the ground trying to reconfigure what people know and love about Mimosa City and make the festival version of it a little bit more elevated and, you know, a little larger than life, bringing vendors onto the property, changing the location, and just changing the attitude around what people come to expect when they come to a Mimosa City event. So really proud to be able to link with him. Shout out to Terrence.
Shout out to Terrence.
Von Chase, that's my guy. And we're kind of actually working on the iteration for 2026. We just started, reaching out to different investors, sponsors, to just try to figure out how we can make it come bigger and better next year.
Oh my goodness, man. If you guys have never worked in events, it's a crazy world, something you're very passionate about. Yes. How do you maintain that level-headedness though when there's like so many different things getting thrown at you, different opportunities, people calling you probably left and right, emails? Oh my goodness. How do you balance all of that and still look fly? Because you guys gotta check out the Instagram. Oh, what's the Instagram, by the way? It's
at Thomas J _
yes, sir. Fly as hell. Come on now. Come on, brother. But how do you do that while just maintaining sane levels, honestly? All of that.
I think like understanding that as the person who's running the event on the grounds, or whether you're behind the scenes doing admin work, you are the nucleus of the operation. And so when you are frantic and frazzled, everybody around you who's working with you is going to be that exact same way. But if you are centered and you are calm and you are knowledgeable and you know exactly what it is you're doing, you don't feel frustrated, or you don't feel as if you have to try to be someone else when someone's coming to you with a question, or they're coming to you with a suggestion or some critique. You're able to take that in stride and realizing that it's bigger than me. This is an experience similar to what I said earlier for other people to be able to enjoy themselves. And so when I know someone's coming into the room, whether they are a regular paying guest or whether they are VIP or high profile, I know that I want them to be able to leave with a positive experience of me, my team, and the event itself. And so I'm always thinking about, what do I need to do to be prepared for this experience? What do I need for my team to be prepared for this experience, so everyone feels like they are in control of the area that they're running, they're in control of their roles and responsibilities, and that we all are running a seamless operation. And because I've been doing this so long, I was doing this when I was an undergraduate student. So like I said, my junior year, I started planning homecoming concerts. So I had my moments when I was frazzled, when I was running around on the radio, just kind of like, oh my God, and now I kind of recognize, okay, there is some merit to just being able to take a step back, take a breath. Everything is going to be okay, because I have never been a part of an event where it's not been okay. So I think knowing that makes me a little bit more calm. It's like, okay, you are in control, and there's other variables that sometimes come into play, but you have to be secure as someone running an event to be able to know that this is what it is and not waver. Sometimes people are going to try to buy you. Hey, I got $200 if you you got to stand on your morals, and you have to keep a strong moral compass, because that also helps people understand who you are. Because if someone sees you taking a bribe for $200, I mean, you're easily bought. I like my job and what I do more than what $200 can do for me. We live in LA. $200 is gone like that.
Yeah, for real. I was talking about the grocery store.
Listen, groceries plus an extra $5.
For real.
Come on, that's not going to do nothing. But when you are in control of what it is that you're doing, I think it goes a long way. And people can see that. People can see that confidence. They're like, oh, he's the person they need to talk to. And sometimes you don't want to be that person that they want to come to talk to, but you know that if they went to anyone else, they're probably going to direct them to you anyway. Yeah. So you need to be prepared when you're running it.
Honestly, man, like I said, we worked together for a while. How many months was it?
It was a 6-month contract. I think we worked together for 3 of them.
Yeah. I came a little bit later around January, but it was, like I said, the grace of the good energy, but also when to put it foot down, because like I said, we had some crazy patrons out there, so to speak. But I always loved hearing the walkie-talkie how calm you were whenever there was like something crazy. Like, this is Thomas. Like, it could be the craziest thing. Yeah, so Thomas, there's actually like 5 people fighting in the back. You're like, this is Thomas. I'm ready. You know what I'm talking about.
It's so crazy because I just developed that maybe within the last year, because I've always been on radio, but it's always the initial go for Thomas, right?
Yeah.
But something about this is Thomas, when somebody's calling me on the radio, it's like, this is him. Like, what can I do for you? I'm at your service, right? I appreciate being able to have that as a moniker. And shout out to one of my coworkers I worked with at SoFi Stadium. Her name was Tony. She would say, this is Tony. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm like, well, we got the same name initial that stuff. I'm going to kind of borrow that from her, and I'm going to say, this is Thomas.
Well, it works. I love the aura. I'm like, oh, he's him. Yeah. He has arrived. He has arrived.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned the SoFi thing. Please tell me more about that whole experience. I know we talked about it before, like a year and a half ago, about your whole experience over there. But could you elaborate more on that whole SoFi experience?
That was probably one of the most interesting times of my life in a great way. And it was because that was where I felt like for the first time my career and the things I've been doing prior to that have started to pay off. I had been living in Charlotte, North Carolina, teaching high school English at the time. And I had resigned from my teaching position about 4 years in. And I got a promotion with the company I was doing Dreamville Festival with J. Cole. And then we know 2020 happened, COVID, and all of events went away. So like all of my income, all the experience that I was gaining kind of like went to, to the gutter. And I moved back home with my mom for about 10 months, and I was just trying to figure it out. I was on unemployment. Thank God for that. Thank God for the senators that passed that extra $600 that went with the unemployment, because I was being able to save and things like that. But I had cold applied to SoFi Stadium. I didn't even know what SoFi Stadium was, right? But I knew I wanted to be an event manager. They had a posting, and I cold applied. I had the interview on August 6th of 2023. 2021. 2021. And then I prayed to God. Wednesday, Thursday night, I woke up in the middle of the night in my mom's, in a room that my mom had for me. And I was just like, God, I want this job. Like, I really want this job. And I said to myself, I don't want a year to come and I'm back in my mom's house. Because to me, that kind of felt like I was taking a huge step back. Even though I look at it now, that was just taking a step back to take a huge leap forward. Wow. But I didn't want to feel as if like I was leaning too heavily on my mom. And,
absolutely.
The setup that she had going on. My mom was married newly to a new man, so shout out to they're no longer together now. My ex-stepdad, I don't even know what to call him. But
that is a whole.
I wanted to be out of there, and I said I want to be out by Labor Day weekend. And so I got the job offer a week after my interview, 7 days, August 6th, 2021, I got the job offer August 13th. And my start date was September 4th, Labor Day. And
that's, hold up.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And my mom would tell you all the time, she loves to talk about my manifestation. I would have poster boards up on the walls in the room, and I would have things written on them like, I want to, edit my resume. I want to do this with my business. I want to get a job in events, because I was teaching. I could have easily went back to being a teacher.
Of course,
I had the certification, but I knew that I didn't want to work again unless it was going to be an entertainment, media, or events. I was very clear about that, and that's the way that I live now. And so being able to have that and pray to God and have it come on the time that I asked, the timeline I asked was crazy. I packed up my 2015 Hyundai Sonata Sport, which I still drive today.
Amen.
And I drove cross country 2.5 days, stopping only in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. And yeah, it was an experience. I drove by myself, left in the middle of the night. My mom was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Girl, I'm going. I gotta go.
I gotta go.
Yes, I have to do this because I've always wanted to live in LA." My mom would tell you that too. That was something I always knew I would do. I always knew I would live here. I didn't know how, but I knew I would be here. So I got to SoFi. And it was a team of us event managers, and I was assigned the Los Angeles Chargers for my team.
Oh, nice.
So that was an account that I ran for guest experience and security operations. And so I was getting my feet wet, just trying to understand the venue operations. Because that's definitely different than running an event. So
and it's massive too. So
huge,
massive.
It's like 10 floors. You come in on the ground level, but it's like built underground.
Yeah,
so
it's insane. Like
it's insanely confusing if you don't know where you're going. Right? And so imagine it took me so long to just understand the lay of the land while I'm clearing 10,000 steps every day, right? And so like it was a very fast-paced environment because we had Chargers home games and then Rams home games. And if either team didn't have a home game, we would have a concert. So it was a high volume of work all the time. And I kind of got burnt out a little bit. I had some of my great experiences working there. I was the account lead for the Weeknd's concert.
Oh my God.
And that was a great experience because he was one of the first artists I discovered in undergrad when he came out with House of Balloons. Like High for This in the morning. Okay. And those were full circle moments to me to be like able to like, this all is connected. Like there is no way that I'm here by accident. I am here on assignment. And I think sometimes I used to forget that I prayed to be where I am now. And so when I got to SoFi, I was like, I'm going to just embrace this moment no matter how tough it is. I wasn't living that on my own. I was living with a friend who helped me, kind of get my feet on the ground here. I was staying with him for 4 months until I found my own place. And then when I got my own place, I, kept working there. I did that for 2 years. I worked from August 2021 to August 2023. So it was a great experience.
Man, SoFi. Shout out to SoFi. Shout out to mom.
Yeah, shout out to my mom.
Shout out to mom. Man, she seems like an amazing person. She raised an amazing young man over here. I love how you mentioned that whole manifestation, that vibe, man. I feel like that's an important thing that we have to do in life. Because there's just so much negative energy out there. A lot of times people putting you down, but sometimes you just gotta be like, forget the noise. I know what I'm here for. I'm on assignment. I love that phrasing. I'm on assignment. You're here for a reason. That's for everyone out there. Whatever dream it is, whatever passion it is, I feel the passion already, man. I love that you also, you did mention your time at as a teacher, right?
Yes.
How many years?
I did 4 years. 4 years. I taught from.
Thank you for your service. No, I can't imagine. Being a teacher, people don't realize that's a tough career.
Yes, and I did high school.
Oh my goodness.
High school English and ESL teacher. So. Yeah, I had students who their language wasn't English. I had a lot of Spanish-speaking students. I had a Thai-speaking student.
Oh, my God.
In my class, a French-speaking student in my class. So, yeah, that was an experience. And they taught me a lot, too. Like, I would teach them words. And so I would have, like, a little column on my board of words that Mr. Lampkin learned. So I would love to learn about their culture. And at the end of every semester, I would have them bring in dishes from their native country.
Oh, my goodness.
We would have, like, a little powwow in my classroom. We would all eat, whether it was, enchiladas or tacos that were made. Or some people brought in crepes and, like, just different things that would be brought in. I really enjoyed that time with my students. And I'm still in touch with some of them today. They follow me on Instagram. now that I'm not Mr. Lampkin. I'm like, I don't want to hear Mr. Lampkin. I don't want to hear that anymore. But yeah, it was a really good experience. I felt like so many of us have a teacher that we've connected with at least once in our life. And I know I did in growing up. There were certain teachers who poured into me. And so I knew I wanted to, at some point in my life, be a teacher. And I'm glad I did it at what I would say is the peak of my life. And now I was like older. I kind of was like a older brother to them. And it was kind of cool seeing Mr. Lampkin pull up in his car and I'm listening to Drake and Cole. The same artists they listen to. But I also was telling them, hey, pull your pants up. Or hey, you need to be in class. So hey, like, what are your grades looking like? And I think parents appreciated that as well because I wasn't just another Black male figure working in physical education, which no disrespect to those teachers, but as a content area teacher, it just hits different when you're standing in front of students and you look like them or you act like them or you can connect with them in different ways that older teachers just can't. And so I shout out to my younger cousins and family members who I was able to connect with on that way because they helped me really understand the Gen Z language of it all.
Yeah, and it still keeps evolving nowadays. I'm telling you, man, like I'm working with, like I mentioned earlier, I'm working with the AI models and testing all that stuff. Oh my goodness. The amount of slang that I've learned in the past week.
And it's changing so much. Acronyms for everything.
For real. And then there's like, they're making up these words that are like, I'm like, is this even English? Like, y'all grabbing this from a different language, different context. And then when it comes to other languages too, they take some stuff from like American culture, mix it with British, mix it with this. Oh my goodness.
So it's a melting pot of
which I love, we love melting pots, but when it comes to slang, I feel like I don't understand anything because I don't want to say the wrong thing. You're like, because some of the words, like you can say one thing and it literally, for us, it's probably innocent, It
means something completely
different.
And
then it's something completely wild out there. So shout out to all the youngins out there. Y'all crazy. Stay safe. Pull up the pants. Pull up the pants.
Please.
Please. That's crazy.
Silly.
But speaking of your name, though, you mentioned you don't want to be called Mr. Lampkin.
Yeah.
I love how your name has an A. Thomas.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Yes. So my full name, shout out to my parents. I feel like they gave me one of the best names ever. And my full name is Anthony Thomas James Lampkin. And my dad's first name is Anthony. But I'm not a junior. My dad's middle name is Darnell. My name is Thomas James. But my family has always called me TJ for all of my life. Like that's been the name that I've known, TJ. But in school, like my teachers obviously would call the role. They would call Anthony. And so a lot of people who know me from my time in trade school, in traditional school, and then in undergrad, they know me as Anthony. But then I got a job on the radio at Morgan State University. Shout out to my alma mater.
Yes, Morgan State.
On WEAA 88.9, which stood for We Educate African Americans. But then it changed to now We Educate All Americans. And so I had the show Strictly Hip Hop. I was hosting it from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. every Saturday. Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. I want to say it was Friday nights from midnight to 5 a.m. And so, but Anthony was just such a boring radio name. Like who knows? Like who's listening to a guy named Anthony? Is Anthony coming at you? I'm like, no. But that sounds weird.
Sorry, all the Anthony's out there.
Like, I'm an Anthony too, but no, that was not a radio name that was going to fly. But Thomas J sounded so much cooler. It was like, yo, like this your homie Thomas J coming to you. So I, took that on, and it wasn't me creating another name. That was in my name. That is one of the 4 names on my birth certificate. It's on my driver's license. And so I'm like, Thomas J just seems a little bit cooler. And so I adopted that moniker, and I created the persona who was on the radio. And so that is where I kind of felt like I want to go by Thomas now, especially because my family calls me TJ. So it just made sense. But a lot of my friends and people who've known me for a long time, they are having a hard time transitioning from Anthony to Thomas. And so I'm going to make a post soon because I'm going to actually stop answering to Anthony altogether after this year. And I made that decision because there have been so many other high profile artists and actors and people who have changed their name, and nobody has any problem calling them their new name. So I am saying you have to call me Thomas, or you don't need to call me at all. Like I feel like now it's become a part of who I am and how I want to present myself. And so I don't want to shy away from Anthony because Anthony has built within itself his own, his own backstory and his own career. And I think it's still great. It's still me, but I know my family calls me TJ, and the people who I interact with, I consider family. If you went to an event of mine, or we hung out together, or we're family, so you can call me TJ or Thomas. I would prefer Thomas. And so that's kind of where I got Thomas J from, being on the radio. It just made more sense. It looked better on flyers. It just was great. I kind of wish I was going by Thomas the totality of my life, but I think there is something about evolution in a story to be able to start somewhere and end up somewhere else. And so, Thomas Lampkin, I think is great. And when I start my political career, Thomas Lampkin to be great for a senator or something to that effect.
Please hurry up with that, Senator. Please, we don't want to get too political on the show, but please hurry up.
Yes,
especially during these crazy times out here.
Yes,
but man, the power of a name. I mean, if you didn't know, my real name is actually Patrick. Yes, surprise everybody. But
that is what is saved in my phone.
That's the whole government name right there, Patrick. But honestly, I think I've realized that around high school, that's when people called me Patty eventually.
Yeah.
And I've just stuck with it. And it feels so weird whenever anyone calls me Patrick. Maybe like my mom if I get in trouble. That's like, when they ask the full name Patrick Vincent, I'm like, you did something. I did something wrong. Mama, I'm sorry. I love you. I promise I didn't do anything crazy. But the power of like owning your name, oh man, it's something that's so inspiring. And I'm glad that you're gonna make that post. Let me know. Tag me. I'll post it everywhere so everyone knows. But I also love how you have the A. Thomas. It's also a little mysterious.
Yes,
brings that whole vibe over there. Oh man, that's so cool, man. I didn't know.
Because people ask me, they always say, "Should I? Is it A. Thomas or just Thomas?" I said it's Thomas, but A stands for my first name. Which I sometimes choose to tell them, or sometimes choose to not. If it's a job interview, I kind of explain my dad's name, and I kind of go through the whole story I just did, so they can understand, what it is. But I've seen other names like that, like S.E. Cup. She is a commentator on CNN. Her name is something different, but she created that moniker. So I appreciate being able to borrow from people like that and be like, I'm not changing my name. I'm just changing the way it's presented.
Of course, and also like you just need to move it around. Just moving the bricks around like Legos. I love the creativity. See, entertainment background over here, singer, all that stuff. Let's go back to this radio show though. Yes. I also did a radio show originally, and it's hard work. People don't realize, man. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but you said the midnight to 5 a.m.
Yes, graveyard shift.
You're wild. That's a lot of passion.
I was still in undergrad at the time. I was still a student, so I would have. I think I would one semester I was still doing. I was in chemistry lab Saturday mornings.
Oh my
from 8
God.
to 11. So like, I would get off the radio station at 5, and I would go back home to my I lived off campus. So I lived off campus at the time, and then I have to get up and go to my chemistry lab class. And I was exhausted, but I was a radio audio production concentration with my major. So I knew I always wanted to be on the radio. And that was another goal I set for myself. Like I said, I want to be on the radio in my 20s, because I feel like we have a lot of radio personalities in their 30s or in their 40s that were speaking to a generation who I don't think they understood at the time. And so it was always my goal to be on the radio at the time. And shout out to my guy Theo. He is the one who I told him about it. We're in this organization called SMOOTH. It stands for Strong Men Overcoming Obstacles Through Hard Work. And he was working with the radio station at the time, and he knew the guy I should get in touch with. His name was Vegas. Shout out to Vegas. Vegas was the senior producer of Strictly Hip Hop at the time. And so I reached out to him, just like, hey, I am a broadcaster integrated media production student from Prince George's County, Maryland. I would love to be a part of the radio station. I didn't know I was going to be on air. I thought I was just going to, maybe be a producer, producer, helping like through the stories and doing some of the research and sourcing material. But he was like, hey, like we haven't had a live show in X amount of time. This is kind of like gave me the backstory of the drama behind the show and whatnot. And he was like, if you're serious about it, we'll, set you up. And so I was the first live host of that show in I don't even know how long, but I was the first live host of that show. And it was an experience, man. Like I really appreciated just being able to be on the airways. Like people could listen to me in their cars driving in Baltimore. And that was, to me, was so crazy.
Yeah,
like,
so cool, yeah.
As a student, like how many people can say that they've done that? And it wasn't student radio. This was actually a public radio station where we had This American Life aired on it because there was some syndication there. So like we had programming that spoke to a number of different people and people who were sending pledges in the city of Baltimore to support the radio station because we were public and not private. We couldn't solicit donations and things like that. We had to solicit pledges from the communities to say that they still supported this operation. And so I was able to leverage that. I did it for 9 months, I believe. I was able to leverage that right before ahead of graduation. I did a really great like promo video. I interviewed people like Mac Wilds on the show. It was great. Like I really appreciated my time there. Brought so many of my friends up to just see how things ran because people didn't know that we had the radio station on campus. So like just being able to have that visibility kind of showed a lot of what you can do, and it showed me a lot of what I was capable of doing. It was like, okay, you're capable of doing more than what you initially thought.
Yeah.
And so I will always cherish my time as a radio personality. I hope to get back to it someday.
Ooh, I was just about to ask you.
Yeah,
you got it, man. You got the aura, got the sound, the energy.
Thank you,
man. That 5 hours though.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So you would just play music on the background. What was the whole like outline of that whole show?
So the format was to play music that wasn't heard on terrestrial radio. So you wouldn't hear singles on the radio. You would hear deep cut hip hop like Rakim and Smoke DZA and deep cut Drake and like albums and songs like Tribe Called Quest. Like you would hear songs like that from artists like that who weren't super, I would say, in the mainstream or super popular at the time, but a lot of people who were hip hop heads knew about it, you know. And I would also interview independent artists who had that type of music in their repertoire as well. So I would do interviews. We would do, we would take phone calls. So there were people up
those
late
are
at
fun,
night.
man. Oh man,
yes, we would take phone calls live. We had to like start screening some and then recording.
That's the biggest thing. People are crazy out there.
It was like 2:00 in the morning. So some they call it they're drunk. And, you know, it's Friday night. So, you know, they just got them a bottle.
I know, I've had a friend call in once. He shout out to my boy Ali. He was also on the show. But he's a Lebanese guy, so he was doing like the Arabic accent the whole time. And I'm like, hello, sir. And then he's just doing prank calls the whole time. I'm like, Ali, I know this is you. It's like, what do you mean?
Live is live. So it was like, you couldn't. Like,
exactly. You couldn't. Yeah. I was like,
so that's when we started screening the calls. And like, hold on, let's take this offline, then add it into the show.
Yeah. For real. Oh my God.
Yeah. So the formatting was like super simple. You know, we'd get in, I would play a couple of records and I would introduce a topic and then we would take calls on the topic. I would have guests that would speak to that topic. And it would kind of run that way. I would have my music director. I ended up hiring one of my friends from an organization, a nonprofit I was a part of, to be the music director because I'm like, I can't host a show, do the research, then play the music. I need some help. And so he was also in the major with us too. And he came on board and I just gave it to him and was like, hey, just give me about 18 songs. We could be able to mix and match them and make it make sense. And so it was good. It was really, really good.
Man, that's amazing, man. Well, you definitely got to get back into it, my man. You got time, still young, out here doing a lot of things. You do everything, man. I'm telling you, like all the festival stuff. One of the festivals that is really amazing out there, Dreamville, I believe. When did you start working with them over there, man?
So I actually started working with them in 2018, July of 2018. The parent company, Scoremore at the time, they had came to Raleigh, North Carolina, and they were looking for ticket sellers or market sellers to sell the tickets to, you know, in the market because they had been doing festivals in Texas. This was I want to say one of their first or second festivals outside of Texas, and they were trying to develop the market. So they needed market leads and market sellers in the major cities in North Carolina. So Charlotte was one. I was living in Charlotte, teaching in high school at the time. And then Winston-Salem was one, Greensboro was one, and a couple of other cities around the state. I drove from Charlotte to Raleigh, so it was about 2.5 hour drive.
Wow.
I drove there to sit in the museum that they had the meeting in. And, you know, I applied. I was like, hey, I think this would be a great opportunity. I kind of talked and shook hands with a couple of the guys that were on the team there. And then driving back, I think maybe a week later, I got an email that was like, hey, out of the 500 applicants, you are one of the ticket sellers that we would, you know, appreciate being a part of this experience and seeing how young entrepreneurs like yourself can contribute to Dreamville Fest. And so I was selling tickets the first year on hand, exchanging money, you know, meeting up with my lead, giving her the money. Shout out to Megan. She was my Megan, the manager. She was one of my leads. She was my lead the first year. But unfortunately, we didn't get to have the festival in September 2018 like we planned because there was a hurricane that came in North Carolina that kind of like stopped the production. And so we moved it to April of 2019. April 2019 is when we had the first year. So I was a part of it since literally the very first time that we were supposed to have it. And then we had the actual first festival 2019. So again, I was still teaching high school English at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So to me, I just felt like I wanted to get back into it. I didn't know how. And I shout out to J. Cole and Scoremore and Sasha and all of those people involved who brought the festival there because I was like, it's not a coincidence. Again, this is not by accident that this festival is being brought to North Carolina. I'm here on assignment and say, I don't want to get back in events. This is my way. And I couldn't stand in front of my students every day and say, follow your dreams, follow your dreams. And I wasn't doing it myself. Absolutely. Here's a clear opportunity to do that. Are you going to be nervous or scared or let the opportunity pass you by? No, I'm going to seize the opportunity. And I did that. And so I ended up then moving up from being a ticket seller to also working on site as an ambassador. Shout out to Camille Wright.
Wow.
She picked up my application, and in my application, I talked about how I booked J. Cole to perform at our homecoming concert in 2013, and about how I was in charge of that operation, about how I really appreciated his music. He had the Dreamville Foundation, about how they were helping out with young boys, and then got hired on site. I was working in the catering department and in production, so I was shoveling mulch the first year. It rained the day before the festival the first year, so I'm shoveling mulch, and then I'm delivering meals when site happened, and so I'm helping like people like Tiana Taylor. She came to me and I was like making her play with her security. I did so much the first year. I was like involved in everything. And then the second year I was a market lead myself. And so instead of selling tickets, I had my own sellers that were reporting to me, and then I was exchanging the money back to, the leads who worked at Scoremore. And so I kind of developed that, stayed on the ambassador team. I moved up from a regular ambassador to an ambassador lead, working at artist relations and hospitality. So helping satisfy the writers that artists would send over what they needed in their trailers, how many M&Ms and what color to put in there, how many drinks and what they needed, fans and stuff like that. Helping like satisfy the festival aesthetics, like helping just staging some of the flowers or any of the back of house elements that took place. I was the lead for that. So I was overseeing the ambassadors on site for about a couple of years. And I did that all the way through, helping out with all the operations. So everything that you guys see on site, my team had a hand in developing. And so it was super great to be a part of seeing a festival come from ground zero to build to one of the major players in the US.
No, that's insane, man. The fact that you work on a festival as big as that, oh my goodness, man. Shout out to you. More flowers over here. Oh my goodness, man. That's insane. Like, I don't know how you, if I had to do all that stuff, I'd be like, I'm having a headache. Right now, this is a lot to deal with.
But it's great because I wanted it by myself, right? Like I had a great team of people. Shout out to Cora and Christina. Those are two young women who I met that year, the first year. And Cora kind of jumped it off. She asked us what was the first concert we ever been to. And our supervisor, Camille, who I mentioned earlier, was kind of overhearing the conversation. We all were talking about like this experience that we had working and like kind of unfazed by like the celebrity of it all. And she had said to us, she's like, I want you three to stay together. And so we stayed together, and we ended up going to other festivals that the company produced. And I think her putting us together and keeping us together helped us realize that this is bigger than us, but then we also bigger than this. So where we're starting is not going to be the end point. We're starting as just young ambassadors who are wanting to be a part of the festival, and we grew into actually being in charge of other ambassadors and imparting the knowledge that we wish we had the first year. Certain things that we learned about, like North Carolina gets cold at night. You need to get some pants and not wear shorts, even though it's going to be hot. Like certain things like that. Like hotel accommodations are going to increase if we're not paying for lodging and for travel for people who are kind of like entry level. So we were just imparting that knowledge, and we traveled to other festivals that the parent company produced. So they did Mala Luna in San Antonio and Neon Desert in El Paso. And so me and Cora, we went to San Antonio. Christina joined us there. We did that festival with the same parent company. We showed interest and drive and dedication to like wanting to do this work, right? And I'm flying there on a teacher salary, okay? I'm buying my own flights to Texas to just prove to Camille and the team, like, I want to be involved in this work. Like, I'm in it. Like, I'm in it to win it for real. And I think showing her that was like, okay, if they can get there on their own, like, let's see what else that we can do. And so that transformed into like, the company paying for us to get there, paying for a hotel accommodate. The last 2 years, thank God, I was able to have my travel taken care of, like, travel reimbursement, and having like the hotel paid for. I was like, whoa, like we really moving on up. We're moving on up. We are. Yeah, so it was just beautiful. The journey, again, like the journey is just so beautiful to be able to start somewhere and end up somewhere else, and to look back and be like, whoa, like I really made that happen.
Wow. And you're making it happen, man. You're doing it. Manifestation, but also, like you said, just doing it. Because there's those moments when you said like, oh, I'm in I'm over here like as a teacher, but then there's this festival right here.
Yeah.
Telling my kids, follow your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't.
Exactly.
And you did it, man. You did it, man.
And it actually came full circle this year because one of the students who was in my homeroom class in 10th grade, I actually got to hire him this year
You're
to
crazy.
work with me on the festival. Yes, I want to say he's 24 now, which is so crazy. Like maybe 23, 24. But I hired him. Shout out to K1. I was able to hire him and bring him on board. And, we still keep in touch today. I'm like a mentor to him. And so it was just like, whoa, like I remember working this when you were in my homeroom class. I used to have Dreamville on my door. I had 2 Dreamville posters on my door. And I had the words, if you can dream it, you can be it on my door. And so just to
So you're a rapper too, man? The bars out here. Hold up. Woo! Where's the fan? We need the fan out today. It's hot. I had to bring that out. It's hot out here, y'all. Woo!
But that was probably one of my greatest moments of working with Dreamville, and it just happened to be the final year of Dreamville because it's going to be hopefully something new, but it won't be Dreamville anymore.
Okay.
So they just inked a deal. Sasha and the Dreamville partners, they inked a deal for 4 more years in Raleigh to do a new festival, but it won't be under the Dreamville moniker. Okay. So hopefully they pick my team up again we're able to be involved. But being able to bring K1 on board was like a full circle moment that is probably one of the greatest moments of my life because I always say like it's one thing to be successful, but the true measure of one's success is how successful you can make someone else. You don't climb the ladder just to take it with you. You bring someone else up, And so just being able to do that is just like, okay, like purposeful.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna cry, man. That was beautiful right there. This explains why you love doing all this, all the different event stuff, talent management and everything.
Yeah.
Because you're one of those people that also loves humanity. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's so many. The fact that you mentioned earlier how you had the different backgrounds in your school as an ESL teacher also.
Yeah.
And just connecting people because despite all our differences, we're all more connected than we think. We eat. We have family. We go to the bathroom. It's a simple thing. We're just trying to live a good life. And it doesn't matter what background you're from, whether you're from Thailand, whether you are from the middle of Connecticut. Yeah. Basically me, right? There's nothing out in Connecticut. But it's just the beauty of it, man. I wish stuff like that happened more to bring people together, especially during these crazy times where I feel like media is really pushing people away from each other.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad I have this podcast. I'm glad I have you.
Yeah.
You're over here, my brother. I appreciate you. But there's also some more stuff we want to talk about you, man.
Okay.
New event coming up. What is it called?
PRocon.
Yes. Tell me more about that, man.
PRocon. Shout out to Keisha Brewer. She is the CEO and founder of the PR Alliance, who's the parent company of PRocon.
Okay.
And PRocon is the premier media, PR, creative communications conference. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. this year.
Okay.
And it basically is a melting pot of professions of people who are coming together to learn more about how they can evolve in the profession and in various professions and to see it from a different lens. Right now, we're seeing journalism being under attack, right? We have a lot of journalists being punished for producing the truth, or
and then physically
attacked. And having people lying about things that journalists are finding out not to be the case. And so a lot of careers are being taken over by AI, So, and this iteration of the PRocon, this is, I think, the 4th year of existence. This is my first time coming on board as the director. I have a different vision for how I've like seeing a lot of conferences, and you go to different conferences, I'm sure you've been, and you just see people passing the microphone back and forth, and people are talking about how they made it to be successful. But in this economy, no one wants to sit in the audience and listen to successful people talk about how they become successful. They're spending money to figure out how they can be on the same level you are on or be entertained in some way. And so my whole goal with this is to, one, the PR field is really saturated with women. My goal for this year is to bring more men into the conversation. I'm happy to report that we have equal amount of men speakers as we have women speakers this year. And so hopefully that can translate into the amount of people who purchase tickets, that we can get more men in the room as attendees to match the energy that women have. And so my team and I have been developing a number of different programming workshops, sessions, main stage panels that are really going to excite the base, but also bring in new people to the conversation. And so I'm excited to have a live debate, a live sports debate, kind of modeled after Pardon the Interruption on ESPN. Looking towards having a fashion show where people have this idea that business professional is one style of dress, but it matters about what industry you're in, because I'm not going to wear a button-up suit at the festival. Come on now, you know, for real, crazy. Who's doing that? You know what I'm saying? That's not business professional. In my field, business professional is a nice, you know what I'm saying, jeans with a polo or maybe like jeans with a shirt. You're dressed well. And so I want to reimagine what it looks like to talk about business professional and these different disciplines of work. And so that's going to be one aspect that we're looking towards. We're looking to have a live podcast episode open up the day. So like just new elements of the conference. I'm super excited about bringing to the fold. Like I'm so happy. We're literally less than 90 days away.
Oh my God, that's
August
amazing.
23rd.
August 23rd,
2025, PRocon's going down.
Man, that sounds amazing. I love how you implement a lot of like, you know, modern takes and stuff and switching up everything up, because especially I love how you mentioned the whole PR industry being generally women. I was a communication major, so most of my PR classes, it was all girls, man, to be honest with you. So it's good to diversify with our other brothers out there, you know, doing our thing, mixing the melting pot, because you can learn from all types. Like we talk about it, all the different backgrounds. You'll learn from someone that's from here, from there, from everywhere. And that's how we grow as a community together. Not just from one point of view of the super rich white guy, you know, that's in PR for 50 years of his life.
Because they tell the story one way, right? But if you have people who come from where you're from or from where I'm from or small towns, you know what I'm saying? People can tell the story in a new, compelling way that someone who is out of touch with the community would never be able to reach, right? So we need to open up the door. We need to expand the fold and bring more people in so we can have more diverse voices. We need to elevate those voices, because I hate the term a voice for the voiceless. People have a voice if you get out of the way and let them talk, right? Like, it's not a voice for the voiceless. It's just you standing in front, hogging the microphone. Let someone else talk.
Oh, man, that's such a great analogy. I love it. Just give them the mic. You know,
come on,
pass the mic.
And
There's
listen.
plenty. That's another big. Oh man, that's preaching out here too. Hallelujah, all that good stuff. This is the singing segment of the. But just to backtrack on the whole business professional thing, I love how you mentioned that, because that's such a key thing that people kind of neglect. Everyone thinks it's just one style. Like you said, the button up, blazer, all that stuff. You know, I love to dress up like that. But hey, if you're in the entertainment space, especially, you gotta look fly too. You know, you can't just be wearing the C vertical type of crazy look out there.
Right?
Imagine you pull it up with the whole cardigan. No offense to anyone that wears cardigans out there. Maybe that's your style. You know,
there's a way. You know,
there's a way. Yeah. And I feel like whenever you're fly, I feel like it's whatever you feel is fly to you. You gotta experiment, try those different things, you know. Don't sag though. No. Pull those pants up.
Please.
Mr. Lampkin. He's coming out.
I'm not a teacher, but I will write you up.
Oh my God. Here's a pen. We'll write them up right now. For when it comes to style, my man, you're legitimately a stylish man. I'm not just saying to gas you up, man. You have it all, man. The sporty look I've seen like the super dressed up. I've seen like the Neo vibe, you know, like like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like the little blazer, but then there's some edge because you see the chain out there. You know what I'm saying? How did you know you were stylish, and how have you been evolving that style, man?
I want to say high school was the first time that I really started to notice that. Maybe let's back up a little bit. Maybe middle school. I was inspired by T.I. at the time. T.I. was like my favorite rapper. He had Rubber Band Man. I think had just came out. I was in the 7th grade, and he would wear his hoodie one sleeve in and one out, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. So I would have my Timberland boots on. I had my blue jeans, and I had a black Aeropostale hoodie.
Shout out
that had yellow writing across the top. And so when I would wear that, I would wear it one sleeve in with my arm and then one sleeve out with a white shirt underneath. And, you know, that was kind of like my thing. And I was like, okay, this is kind of like that. I don't see nobody else walking around that looks like that. And so then I'm fast forward to high school. My freshman year of high school, I went to Bladensburg High School, and we didn't have to wear uniforms. And I was really adamant about going to a school that didn't have to wear uniforms, because in Prince George's County, a lot of the schools were starting to make their students wear uniforms. But my school was the only one of the few that we didn't have to wear uniforms. So my freshman year, I was really experimenting with different clothing, different patterns, mixing and matching plaids or solids or graphic tees, jeans. I was never really a shorts person. I became that later on in life. My sisters would always tease me, like, you never show your shorts. My legs are like super white because I never give them no sun. Oh, never. My feet, no, I never decided to have my legs out. And so when my freshman year, I would like just, try different things. I would go through the East Bay magazine, looking at shoes all the time, ordering shoes. I would look at just different places I could shop. And then my parents, they stopped shopping for us and started giving us $200. And I went to Foreman Mills to get my little clothes for the school year and see what I would wear, what I wanted to look like. And obviously taken from like my favorite artists at the time. I was hugely into R&B. I say T.I. was one of my favorite rappers at the time. And just kind of looking at somehow my favorite R&B singers would dress, like Mario.
Shout out Mario, man.
He was from Maryland too. So just seeing like how some of them dressed. And then my sophomore year through the end of high school, we had to wear uniforms, right?
Ooh, okay.
We were burgundy and white shirts with tan pants. But I would leave out the house in uniform, but I would also have underneath of my uniform my outfit for the day, right?
Way.
Yes, this is
terrible. My God.
I do not advise anybody to do this.
Don't get in trouble. No write-ups.
I would have my outfit on, so I would have an outfit like this. Underneath of my uniform, I would go, and I had to catch 2 city buses to get to my school because I was out of my school's district. Like it was still in the same county, but it wasn't my feeder school that I was supposed to go to, because I was, at the time, I wanted to be a marine biologist, and Bladensburg had a biomed program that I tested into and I got in. And so I would arrive to school in uniform, and they would do uniform violations only during the first period. So once my teacher went through and made sure everybody was compliant, I would take my uniform off and I would be in regular clothes from like my second period, third period, and fourth period. We had 90-minute periods. So I'd be in lunch walking around with like my regular clothes on. They're like, how you got your regular clothes on? I'm like, y'all got to think. Like, they only do uniform violations the first period. After that, no uniform violations. I think I did that for like maybe 2 years, 2 and a half years. I got caught one day. Assistant person was like, where's your uniform at? Well, I'm going to write you up. I'm like, you don't have a uniform violation slip. Like, they're gone. So I got sent to in-school suspension. Oh, my God. I got sent to in-school suspension for that. But that was like when I first time I realized, like, okay, I'm not like other people. Like, I like to wear what I want to wear. You know what I'm saying? I want to look how I want to look. I was very like particular about the way I wanted to look as well. Like, my dad would cut my hair at home. I never really went to the barbershop. My dad would cut my hair, close cut, bald look. It wasn't until like I became 24 when I started growing my hair out. Right. So fast forward from high school to college, I started really experimenting with looks that I felt were unique. I would love to buy pieces like that you can only really wear once, but I would wear it once and I would remix it and can wear it a completely different way, right? And so that is kind of like the way that I shop for clothes or source clothes now. I like your standards, your classics, your blue jeans, your black jeans, you know what I'm saying, your cargo pants, your white shoes, your Air Maxes. I have those pieces in my closet. But when I'm shopping for an event or shopping for something, I want something that no one else is going to have on, that no one else can pull off. The showstopper. Right? Like, that is me. Like, a lavender, I used to wear a lavender suit says SoFi. Like, everybody else is in there like black. I'm a lavender suit with the tie on the end. And, I was at my sister's wedding recently last year, and I had a black suit with, she asked us all to wear all black. And I'm like, that's boring. Like, I need to, wear a little something. So I had, I had a little something. So that's always my thing. I just don't want to ever, my biggest fear in life has always been walking into an event and someone having the same outfit I have on. Ooh. Oh my God. I literally would go home. The only time that's ever happened is if someone had the same sweatshirt that I had on in an event one time. And I wore mine so well, he took his off. He did. And I'm not exaggerating. My friend will tell you, I think it's Jameer, one of my homeboys, he will tell you at the same event. And the guy took his off. And I was like, yeah, this is me.
You gotta let them know who's
this is me.
I love that, man. It's the attention to detail. I don't know if y'all notice. You got a little bandana. It's like, it's the details, man. That's what people realize. And the experimentation, keeping the basics too. It's nice to have the basics because you save money that way, because you can reuse those blue jeans for a while. LA is expensive, y'all. Like, Man, LA, everything. Woo!
Listen, I'm not too proud to shop at some of the places to get me the cheap basics. Uniqlo, we'll go to Shein, I'll go to Fashion Nova.
All of it.
But you won't notice that because the way I style it.
And that's the beauty. That's like a hack in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You could make something that look like it's Versace, to be honest. You know, like it could be a random t-shirt, but you add some flair, some little accessories.
Yep.
Accessories.
It's always been about the accessories to me. Always.
I mean, look at that chain right there. Where'd you get that
Thank
one?
you.
Right
I want to say I got this from Fashion Nova.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to say I got this from Fashion Nova.
Fashion Nova. And the ring,
The ring is from Shein.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Let's sponsor Shein.
Yes, a little 4-pack of rings they came in.
Okay.
Yes.
Man, shout out to Shein. Sponsor the Patty Show. Stop playing. We need all the sponsors. Come on, bring it here. Bring that good energy.
Clothes.
Thank you, all of it. Yeah, we'll do a clothing haul episode. Clothing haul episode. You know.
Here's what I got.
Yeah. Well, I just made up. So here we go, everybody. I bet you'll do great with that, man. I mean, we might have to see some future content coming soon out there. Shein, stop playing.
Hey,
we already sponsored right here. Come on now. Where did you get this though, by the way?
This I got working an event. I did an event for Ciroc. I was an influencer manager, and they had it was at a house, like a beautiful house. Literally, we were like amongst the clouds in the house.
Wow.
But the next day, they had a happy hour, and they were giving away these in yellow and in blue. And so I got two. I got this one. I kind of wear this one frequently because I like the way that it
looks cool. Yeah,
feels. Yeah, I love to wear a little bandana, extra situation on. People are always like, I like this look. Kind of like in lieu of like having a bracelet. Sometimes I have a bracelet on, sometimes I don't. Today I do, but I think it just kind of gives you that extra flair.
And you got the extra flair, man. Extra flair.
Thank you.
Oh man, this guy's styling and profiling over here, man. How do you stay so stylish and maintain everything, man, that you do, man? All the stuff that you do, we talked about a lot of the event stuff that you do, the talent management, everything, and then staying stylish. How do you deal with all of that? And let's say the dating scene, for example, especially in LA. Can you tell me more about that?
It's interesting because I don't date, right? Like I don't date. I'm so career driven, and I think that sometimes has played to my detriment because I am so career driven that I really haven't given myself the time to like really get out there and date and explore, right? And I did though. So when we were at Squid Games, I was in a relationship, and it was a long distance relationship. I lived in Chicago. I lived in LA, and I did the courting thing, right? Like I, slid in the DMs.
Yeah. You did the DMs.
I got swerved the first time I slid in the DMs.
Oh, really? Okay.
I got swerved. It was kind of like, I appreciate you saying this to me. I'm actually honored that you would, even say that. And that kind of was the essence of it. But then I was like, I'm not about to let you swerve me. Like, I'm tried in the game, right? Like, I shoot, and you shoot again.
You know what I'm saying?
You feel me? I slid in the DMs again. And I led with what was comfortable for me, which was music. And I asked them, hey, I feel like you would like this EP. Have you listened to it, right?
Oh, hold on. I didn't take notes. Hold on. So music. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And this was Khalid's EP. I forget the name of it, but it was his EP. And it had a bunch of features on it. And so it was like, no, I didn't. I've never listened to it, but I put it on my list. And so we had literally every day since then DM'd every day. We, went a whole time DMing for a while until they took a social media break and then sent me their number. I sent my number first, never used it. It was like, no, we're going to keep it in the DMs. I was like, what's going on? Like, I was really used to things moving slow in this way. And I never really dated. The last relationship I had, I was in high school. That was super young. Yeah, and I wasn't real anyway.
Is this a lovey-dovey? So
I was new to just kind of trying to figure out what this was. And so it was moving slow. And I was like, okay, I guess we'll go on your terms.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
So DMing moved to texting, and then texting went into phone calls, and then phone calls moved into FaceTime.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we were going to meet in person for the first time. And we went to the same school. So he went to the same school that I went to, Morgan State, graduated from the same school, and we didn't go at the same time. So the year he was coming in, I was leaving out. I was graduating. But one of my closest friends, they're in the same fraternity as he is. And so I kind of was able to gauge a little bit of his character from mutual contact.
It's always good to have a mutual contact. So they're not weird though. You never know.
You someone out.
For real.
Okay, let me see how you really are.
Not a serial killer out here. Because nowadays,
and so we decided we didn't want anyone to have home field advantage. So I wasn't going to go to Chicago. He wasn't going to LA.
Okay, that's smart.
We decided to meet at a central point. And the major city central point was Denver. So we decided we're going to be in Denver, Colorado for the first time. And we did Denver. It was a beautiful experience. Like, no one knew us. So we were just able to just like be, you know what I'm saying? Like just to live, to be in each other's company, walk around, go to bars. And like, you know, there was a Mile High festival there that year that we had went. So we went, you know, with the intention to go to the festival, but we didn't end up going because like we went to dinner, went to lunch or whatever, and then we just laid in the bed and just talking and just like vibing out. Right? We stayed in 2 different hotels. We stayed in one hotel in one area, and then we moved into the Thompson Hotel for the rest of the stay, which was great. We stayed on the 9th floor. I got my favorite football team was the Denver Broncos. So the Broncos Stadium from the window of the hotel with Florida sitting on there. It was really, really nice. And so, like, fast forward, we made it a full year. We ended up breaking up in May of 2024. And I haven't really dated since, right? Like, I have entertained conversations with people. You know, I've had my fair share of fun. You know, obviously, I'm going to have needs. I'm a human. Of course. But as far as, like, dating, I would love to get back out there and date. I actually would, you know, whether it's my ex and I coming back around and spinning the block again, or a new love coming into my life. I feel like I need more of the experience of dealing with other people and dealing with personalities. And I think that's something that kind of, on my end, I fell short on because I hadn't dated. And my ex was the first person, like my first love, right? My first adult love. And so a lot of things that I maybe should have known or I should have known how to handle, I didn't because I didn't have that experience of like dating somebody and like, you know, falling out with them and then being upset with them and then also having long distance. Oh my God, right? It wasn't like we can kiss and make up after an argument. It's like we got to wait 2 weeks until I can fly out there. For real, fly out there. And so it caused a huge strain on the relationship. And so I would entertain long distance again, obviously, but I need to be in a financial position to where I can handle that. And so I'm open to dating. You know, I would love to date, but it's just not high on my priority list, right? Because again, I am so career driven. Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that I even mentioned to my ex, like my career is number one. Even sometimes I put it above my family. Like I wish looking back, like I hadn't. I missed so much time with my family. I'm the only person in my family out here on the West Coast. So like I've missed out on Christmases and I've missed out on Thanksgivings and stuff, being out here, being so career driven. But everyone needs love in their life, right? Like everyone needs a person they can talk to after a long day. It was like after Squid Games, I could get on the phone with him and just talk about my frustrations or talk about what went well throughout the day or who I met or who was there. And so I do miss having that more than anything. But, you know, I feel like there'll be a time for me. And sometimes I battle back and forth with if I was designed for romantic love, which I do believe that I am. But I know that it is a huge sacrifice that I don't know if I am willing to make at this point. At this point in your life, because I just want to. And I hate that men are like this sometimes, that we feel like we need to be at a certain point in our lives before we can allow somebody to be a part of it. Soul, man. And it's like, no, like someone can be a part of your life while you're still growing, but they also have to be understanding of that and recognizing and supportive of that. And that's something I really want to have in my next relationship, whether it's back with my ex or someone else, that I really want that person to be in love with their career as well, because you understand when something goes wrong at work or when someone loses their job or when your boss is frustrated with you because you love your career so much. It's just like, okay, I understand that you're not 100% right now because this is the priority. How can I help support that? And in turn, I want to be able to help with whatever that person puts number one in their life as well, because I think it is a give and take in a relationship. And so we'll see, man. But dating it's tricky. It's tricky because I also am not in a space in my life where I'm hiding either, right? Like, if we're going to date, we're going to go out. Like, we're going to go out. We're going to go to LA Live. We're going to hang out. Or we're going to go to a basketball game or something. I don't want to be hidden. I don't want to be, you know, going through back doors or, you know what I'm saying, trying to look out to see if anybody is
for real, like some college stuff.
I'm 34 years old. I'm 34 years old. What do I look like sneaking into the back door because you don't want your coworkers to see somebody coming into the door? Like, whether it's about sexuality or whether it's about privacy or whatever, we're grown. And so if you're grown enough to date, you should be grown enough to date out loud and love out loud who it is that you love. And that's the way that I feel.
I love that, brother. I love that. Well, you can hit his lineup. What's the Instagram again?
At Thomas J _THOMAS J _.
Of course, shoot that DM. I love that you said that. Shoot. This guy, don't miss after, you know? Maybe first time it hits
And don't be
backboard a little
scared
bit,
too,
you
because I
know?
also know I have an intimidating personality. Sometimes people tell me I can come off certain intimidating, so I realize I have to do the approaching, right? If I'm interested in somebody, I have to approach, because 10 times out of 10, they ain't gonna approach me, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be like, oh, he gonna swerve me, or he not gonna, take me seriously, or he gonna leave me on red, right? Like, I'm not that type of person. I'm flattered whenever somebody approaches me, right? Because it takes a lot to be able to express that you are feeling somebody on
that vulnerability.
You're putting yourself at that person's mercy to be, and nowadays people are screenshotting messages to say, oh, you was in my DM. Like, that's corny to me, right?
That's
like,
that's not even child. That's like below childish.
Yeah, it's very corny. And so I believe that, like, I do the approach. I would love to be approached, but I know in this lifestyle, I do the approach. In this life, I do the approaching.
I love that. Thanks for the vulnerability. Thanks for sharing, man. I love that, man. I also love your self-awareness about that, because you know how your career is like your number one, but you also realize that you can have someone join you on the journey, join on the fun, because it's tough out here doing stuff alone.
Yes,
I love how you mentioned it's always nice having someone to kind of, I want to say vent, but kind of just let it out. Sometimes you just need to talk to someone and they don't, exactly, for real. And sometimes they don't even have to say anything. And you're just like, I hear you.
Yes.
Have a blessed day. It's the simple things, especially the type of industry we're in, where like literally anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Literally anything. When they want an extra M&M. What's it you said? Green M&M. What's the craziest like setup that you have to do for like a celebrity? You don't have to mention their name unless you want to call them out.
Yeah.
What was the craziest? Like, wow, you're like, there's no way in hell this is legit. Like when they gave you the request.
I want to say this, and this is going back to like my earlier times.
Okay.
It was when I was doing homecoming for my alma mater. And Migos, they have requested an insane amount of things. I mean, like 12 towels, and there was only 2 of them at the time because Offset was locked up. So we had Takeoff and Quavo, right?
Oh God!
And so it was just like, well, it's only 2. What are y'all doing with 12 towels? Like, what are y'all doing with all these things? Yeah. And they even tried to run out on a performance super early. And I had to go back to them and tell their manager, no, y'all need to come back out here and perform the rest of the set. But I just remember reading it, and it was just like, we weren't able to provide alcohol on campus. We were a dry campus, but they wanted bottles of alcohol. So I'm like, well, how can I find a way to get this in there for them, right? Like, so we ended up making it happen, obviously. I'm going to make it happen. Yeah, right?
That's you. That's him right here.
It was just so interesting. That was my first introduction. I think that's probably why I was the wildest one, because that was my first introduction to a celebrity writer. Yeah. It was like understanding, like, oh, like, we have to pay you a fee and then buy all this stuff for you.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
Whoa, we just paid y'all like $10,000, and then now we have to buy all of these things. I was like, okay, now when I see certain things, I'm like unfazed, right? Like I was helping the artist relations team for this past year of Dreamville, and we needed to put fans and heaters in a room, and it's April in North Carolina. A heater, yes.
Okay,
what? Yes. I was like, are you sure? They was like, yeah, she needs her heater. I was like,
as long as there's no baby oil. I'm like, it might be the next thing. Oh my God.
92 degrees, you want a heater? But okay.
That's your patience, man. I don't even know how I'd react. I'd probably look at the list like, did they send the wrong copy? Is this like a fan fiction? Because, the 12 Towers too, that's wild.
Yes.
Oh my. Man, shout out to Migos. Y'all crazy? Y'all crazy out there? Oh my goodness, that's a lot of patience, my man.
Yes.
That's insane, man. Well, let's get into our talking points then. It took us a while to get there because
we've been talking.
I know. I love it. I love learning a lot about you.
Thank you.
All the passion and everything. Our first talking point, my man.
Okay.
Redefining pleasure. We talked a little bit about pleasure during this time. You work hard a lot, all that good stuff, man. What's something that brings you joy? That unapologetic joy, even if others, don't get it.
You know what? Some people might get it, but absolute and complete silence. Like, it brings me unspeakable joy. Yeah. Like, I mean, when I first wake up in the morning, I don't want to hear anything. Not birds chirping. I don't want to hear cars driving by. I don't even want to hear my AC machine moving. I just like quiet.
Wow.
And I think as I age, right, like it's just become so important because especially in LA, so much energy is exchanged when you walk outside your house because there's so many people that live here. And it's just like, I like being able to just get back to my place and just listen to nothing. Wow. And hear my thoughts sometimes because I'm not like a deep thinker. right? But when I'm in silence, I'm able to recognize like this is a fleeting thought. This is a thought that needs to be expounded upon more. And I would not be able to do that if I'm hearing music or I got something playing on TV in the background, or if there's a dog barking, or if there is a baby screaming, right? I like silence. I really, really do. And it's crazy because I used to love music all the time. Listen to music all the time. I would fall asleep with it in my hip with my earphones and my iPod Nano. But now I just really enjoy silence. Like I really, really do. And it's actually kind of nerve-wracking. I'm trying to figure out if there's something wrong with me. It's like, like, do I need to be quiet? Like, why is it that I need that? But I think to me, it just allows me to reset after years and years of years and working in environments where the speakers are blowing your eardrums out.
My goodness.
Or you have somebody, or you have a bunch of students, Mr. Lampkin, Mr. Lampkin, Mr. Lampkin.
So much stimulation, everything,
attention. It's like, whoa, like, everybody be quiet. Like, it reminds me of the movie Click.
Oh, I love that
Sandler.
Yeah,
just stop everything.
Yeah.
Like,
pause.
Yes, and I'm able to still move around, but like everything is silent and stopped and still. I think it's peace be still. There's something to that. I really enjoy silence.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Honestly, that makes so much sense because, like we mentioned a lot, you do a lot of stuff. People are always calling your name, whatever name it is. Remember, it's Thomas right there, TJ. Okay, stop playing, y'all. Okay, we'll make the post and then tag me. I got you, bro. We'll share it everywhere on the Patty Show podcast, all that stuff. But honestly, I'm kind of similar now too. I used to listen to a lot of like just music or anything in the background, but sometimes it's just nice to just not hear anything. Like it's just so powerful because the busy lives we live in entertainment, event work, music, everything is just like there's so much stimulation. Sometimes it's good to just not think about anything, don't consume anything in the morning, especially with like TikTok, Instagram. There's always something to like, give us some sort of stimulation. Sometimes the best stimulation is just nothing. And just being one with yourself, being with your thoughts. I love how you mentioned that too. The thoughts are fleeting. Sometimes you just have to let them go. Sometimes there's some ideas that come in your mind because you have that entrepreneurial mindset where like, I'm sure you have ideas pop left, right, all that stuff. How do you honestly put those ideas like to test, for example? Because I'm sure you have a lot of great ideas out there. How do you try to test those different ideas? Do you write them down? Do you like tell it to a friend, a confidant, or something like that?
Yes, with the first thing you said, I write them down. I'm very old school, textbook, pen and paper.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna be like typing on the iPad on my phone and stuff like that. I can transfer stuff from there. Okay. But I feel like fleshing things out comes from pen and paper, and it's nice. I have nice handwriting too, so it's nice to be able to look at my handwriting and just be able to like, okay, cool, let's transfer this now.
Yeah.
But I grew up loving writing. I grew up loving reading, right? So when I'm able to conceptualize an idea, before it leaves me, I need to write it down, jot it down. I always have some form of pen or paper with me. I have some in my bag now.
Oh, nice. There we go.
I still write a grocery list down on it too.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's how it's best to get out of me and not to stay in my head, because also sometimes if it stays in my head, it won't happen. Because again, these fleeting thoughts, it'll come in and I ideate on it for a while and then it'll go away. And I think that sometimes I'm still in my 20s where I can like remember what I thought about like 2 days ago. I can't remember what I thought about an hour ago sometimes. So I'll be like, I need to write it down. I'm going to forget it.
Yeah.
Then if I write it down, I'm able to come back to it at a later time when I have the energy to go through it and comb through it and sit down and figure out what it is. I have so many ideas that are sitting on paper that I need the money to pull off.
Amen.
I need the resources to pull off.
Sponsor.
Or I need some assistance to help come, but at least they're written down. They're not like in the back of my mind. So writing down is crucial for me.
Absolutely. And I love how you mentioned the whole energy, timing and everything, because you could have the best idea in the world, but if you don't have the capacity to like work on that idea, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's the million, billion. It doesn't even matter about the money. That amazing idea, if you're just like spent from a long day of working all the different jobs and like relationship stuff and everything, you really can't act on it. So writing it down, that's a really good tip, y'all. You should get a little journal, diary, all that little stuff. You gotta teach me some of your handwriting skills because mine looks like Chinese.
I got you. I perfected my handwriting because I was a very talkative student in grade school. So like I would have to write, I will not talk 100 times sometimes before going to lunch.
You remember those punishments? Oh,
that was my thing. And it wasn't a punishment to me because I was just trying to, how can I make this continue beautiful all the way through?
Wow, okay.
I loved it.
That's a crazy, funny backstory. A good thing. Shout out to the teacher that told you to do that.
I vividly remember Miss Dantley, my fifth grade teacher, who was one of the ones that made me do that. Yes.
Well, it worked out. I'm glad. Yeah. In hindsight, you know?
Yes. I was always a good student with good grades, but I talk too much. I always have, like, you know, when you get your grades and you have the comments on the side. I would always have positive attitude towards learning, which is number one. I was talkative and disruptive because I would get my work done. So I'm like, I'm done. Like the rest of the students are trying to figure it out. I'm like, who I'm going to talk to? Like, I'm like, come on, let's go.
Also, there you go.
That was that one.
I mean, you keep it interesting. You keep it fun.
That was that one.
But that's also part of the, like you mentioned with the whole fashion thing, standing out, man. Yeah, you're unique, and I love that you've grown so much from it, embracing it. Your younger self, Anthony, young Anthony. I'm sure he's proud of Thomas right here. You know what I'm saying? So that's more flowers. Just gonna give all the energy right there, man. Thanks for sharing. Continue on pleasure, my man. Our second talking point: making room for play and indulgence. We talked about all the different hats. Speaking of hats, there was this one hat I think you just posted recently in your Instagram. Man, where'd you get that hat, man? That was...
I actually bought that hat from a friend for my birthday 2 years ago.
Okay. And what kind of hat is that called?
A fedora.
It looked amazing. And it matched the suit.
Thank you.
I was like, y'all got to check it out. What's the Instagram again?
Thomas J _.
Yes. And then shoot a DM, especially put a comment on that one, especially. Because that fedora, too, it's not like the small one. It had like the presence. I was like, that's a Thomas hat right there. Yeah. Like, you worked there, man. And then the suit and the little... Man,
thank you.
More flowers. So you guys gotta check it out. I wish I could. Maybe I'll just put it right there. The editor, which is me, so I wrap that.
Put it in post.
Yes. We'll put it right there so y'all can see. But yeah, man, you do all these different things, multiple hats. How do you protect your time for things that feel fun and not just productive? Because like most of the stuff you do is honestly productive. That's how you do all these amazing things. Is there anything that you do that's just kind of like, quote unquote, like mindless, so to speak?
Yeah, I love taking myself out on dates. Like, I love to go on a solo date. I'll take myself out to the movies. I just recently went to see Sinners by myself. Ooh. I went to go see that by myself. And I made a day of it. You know what I'm saying? I went to go to Fixin's restaurant that is not too far from the movie theater downtown at LA Live. So I go there, get me a bite of food, and then I'll go to the movie theater, and then I'll maybe like go to the park or something and just sit, in silence, hopefully.
Silence again. Shout out silence.
Not out here in nature and be one with nature, but I'm also starting to like take more walks around my neighborhood and starting to be more familiar with my neighbors and stuff like that. But yeah, that is one of the things that I like to do, because I do have acquaintances and friends out here, but I think being in touch with who I am is more important to be able to enjoy my own company, right? Like, I don't need to have an audience, or I don't need to have a co-star to be able to enjoy myself. I can go somewhere. I can travel. I travel a lot.
Yeah.
On a plane.
I swear to God, every time I think most of the time I like message you, it's like Southwest Airlines, and then clap emoji. I'm like, my boy, loving it.
Yes, I love it.
It's flights, not feelings, everybody.
Yes, because it's important, like, and you just can move on your own time, right? Like, when I'm traveling, I just don't have to worry about if people want to do this or what time. I catch
itinerary stuff.
I catch a red-eye flight and get there in the morning and get my rental car, and I just drive. So, like, I really like doing stuff alone, right? Because I like to do things a certain way, and I recognize and respect that everybody doesn't like to do it that way. But I'm also not about compromising on my own joy and about things that make me happy.
Absolutely.
And so if I need to go and see the movie by myself because everybody doesn't want to see it right now, that's what I'm going to do. If I'm going to go to the restaurant because, people might not have the money to go, cool. Or if people have the money to go someplace and I don't have the money to go place, I'll go somewhere else, right? Because I am trying to prioritize my joy now. And that hasn't always been something that I've done, right? Because, again, I have been so career-driven. Trying to focus on things that are away from my career. What can I just do that has nothing to do, with work? I also am a comfort show watcher. Like, I watch shows 1,000 times over if I'm comfortable with it. Because the new shows I can tap in every now and then. But something about show I already know what's going to happen, even though I might forget that it happened. Like, okay.
That's one of the best joys, though. Like, you watched it a while ago, but you know it's going to happen, but you're like, when does it happen?
Yes.
Or like a comfort move.
Or you see other things that you didn't see the first couple
the
times.
details come out of nowhere.
Yes, because I'm rewatching House of Cards right now.
Oh,
it's like one of my favorite shows that I've in life. It's one of my favorite shows. And it teaches about the rise to power, right? Even though it's in an unorthodox way, and it sometimes the main character is ruthless in their ascension to power. But there's something to be said about someone knowing exactly what they want and stopping at nothing to get it, right? Like,
I see the parallels.
I
see the parallels.
That is why I love the show, and so I've been rewatching that. But yeah, watching the show or reading a book, I grew up reading. My mom would say I was reading it too. I would go to Spalding Library in Prince George's County, and I would check out a grocery bag worth of books.
Oh my God! Wow.
My mom, when we getting older, my mom and I read the Harry Potter series, all of them, right?
Wow.
And so I would read it first, she would read it after me, and then after she finished reading it, the movie would come out. We would go see the movie together.
God, that's awesome.
So that was something that we share. My mom is a huge book literature lover, and that kind of rubbed off on me. So like, I like to read books in my spare time. Just quiet. I'll go to Larchmont area and I'll go to Creations, get me an acai bowl and sit outside, read me a book, eat. So like, just doing things by myself, I think are like principle towards me, like maintaining the joy and just trying to find ways to stay joyful. It's like, I enjoy my own company. I go out and you meet so many people too. Like, oh, you here by yourself? I go to festivals or concerts and stuff by myself. They're like, oh yeah, but come on, hang out with us or whatever. Like, people invite you to do stuff, or they buy you drinks because you by yourself. Or it's just,
you also bring the energy out there too, you know? And that's the beauty of it, because I feel like, especially now with social media, you think you always have to be with your people, and like, you know, I love all my people, they're everywhere, all that good stuff, but it is nice to have that time to yourself, because you're with yourself 24/7, you know, 7 days of the week. Every single day you're gonna be with yourself. So if you don't enjoy the times when you're alone, you could have even your spouse, your mom, they're not going to be with you like all that time. So you just have to enjoy yourself, have a fun time, and rise to power.
Yes.
Future senator?
Yes.
Is that the goal?
Yes.
We did tease it a little bit. Yes.
I have ambitions to be the United States Senator from Maryland. I would like to go home and, you know, do that. But I also have ambitions to be the chairman of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. There are some things communication-wise that I think back to the Telecommunications Act of, I think, 1996 that Bill Clinton signed, that decentralized radio stations, where like there was a point where we had local radio stations. You were able to hear local music from those different places. But once that act was signed, conglomerates started to buy up all the radio stations, and you get syndicated shows like Steve Harvey's show plays in a number of different markets in the morning and areas that Steve Harvey isn't in. But there are some really great, talented radio personalities and artists who are not able to be heard because Radio One or Cumulus Media or whoever the conglomerate is has bought up the stations, and now everyone is listening to the same thing. There is no regional sound anymore, right? So there's something that I would like to change, to be able to bring just local stuff back, right?
The originality.
Yes.
It kind of goes in with your fashion then.
Yeah.
You want to stand out, make your own. Wow. Look at that. It's all connecting together. Senator, Commander-in-Chief over here. Okay, man. Shout out to Maryland.
Yes.
What's that process look like, by the way? Do you know, like, how that works? I don't know personally. Like, do you have to do some courses?
That's another thing I learned about, like, House of Cards, too.
Okay, there we go. Yes, please.
So, like, there is, obviously, you got your local government, your state government, and then the federal government. And so a lot of people start out in local government. They start out as a city councilman, right? And a lot of people do it in a city where they went to college at, and they started to really kind of like be in grassroots community there, and they started to build a repertoire or what is it? They built a reputation for being a power player in this area, or someone who can bring people together. And so you start out as a council. Some people start as a councilman. If you're a career politician, you start out as a councilman, or you start out as working in the mayor's office, or working locally in that way, or then you can become a congressperson. So similar to how Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez started, she was a waitress, and then she ended up running for the 5th congressional district in New York, I believe it is, against Joe Crowley, and she's now a congresswoman. And I believe she has higher ambitions, either to take on Chuck and be the U.S. Senator from New York, or she may have presidential ambitions. But it's starting locally somewhere, because you have to build a coalition. But then there are also organizations like Justice Democrats or Run for Something, or other these other entities who are recruiting people who are not in the political scene, right? Who have experience in other areas like education, like entertainment, like policy development, and they are recruiting these people because Washington has been so overridden by career politicians who have just been out of touch with what the U.S. standard American wants now.
Yeah.
They are just believing that everything that's going on in DC is the right way. Well, no, you need to go back home, have a town hall, and sit with the people who voted you in and see if the things that they wanted then are the things that they want now. And so that's kind of like the trajectory. You start out locally and local, and then you can be a representative of your state. Some people run for governor, some people run for mayor, some people run for Senate. They have state Senate, so you can run for state Senate and the state house, where depending upon what state that you're in, the state can be controlled by the Republicans or the Democrats, or they can have a large consortium of independents who caucus with either side. And so you would start there, but it'll be on local first, and then, you know, unless you are really tapped in, someone, some people get appointed, whether there's a death in the particular role or someone is hired for a new role, like if they joined the presidential administration, but they were the governor of this state or they were a senator of the state, then there becomes a vacancy.
Wow.
Then there's a special election that allows for people to jump in. And then some people might win with having no political experience, and then maybe the next person up in line. But there's always a way, and there's no real one way to do it. Yeah. But the career politician will start locally to build that coalition, get those 1,000 signatures of people to, you know, to who say they're going to support you, to then be able to get on the ballot, and then you can run and, you know, things like that.
Wow, I also see a lot of parallels in the entertainment industry, for example. You know, like whether you're an artist, podcast host, all that stuff. You start, you know, building that audience, the people that support you, because then when it's the tough times, you just get the numbers, man. It just comes out of nowhere. But I also love how you mentioned how staying in touch with the people that brought you there is super important, man, because a lot of these politicians, you used to see, they're already up in the sky, flying high. And then, like you mentioned, all the politicians like, yeah, we're going to do this because it's what's right. Is it really though? Like, is it really though?
It looks good on paper, but then you have to sit in front of your constituents and tell them that the jobs you're bringing to the market are only paying $7 an hour.
You're like, this doesn't seem right. I didn't sign up for this,
but
for you. You know,
to say, oh, we're bringing 5,000 jobs to the area, but they're not paying anything. You know what I'm saying? That's the disconnect.
That's the language too. They really manipulate it like crazy, man. It's a wild time. Well, I'm praying for you to do all that stuff, man.
Thank you.
Y'all, when it's time, you know, we'll get you back on the show. That'll be that's gonna be fun of it. I'm super excited. I'm glad that you're doing that, man.
Yes.
House of Thomas. We're gonna have a series on it. You know?
Yes.
That's so awesome, man. I'm glad that you're doing that, man.
Thank you.
I can tell the passion, and you know what you're talking about, because I was like, I'm learning a lot already. I love this. I love this. Learning a lot of stuff. To continue on our point with pleasure, my man. My next question is, what's a pleasure you've fallen back in love with recently?
Listening to music. Like, after my breakup, there weren't, like, I didn't want to listen to music again. I didn't want a song to trigger me because...
Especially that first album, probably.
So many songs or so many things. Like, and I would make playlists for my ex because I'm just the type of person to show my love that way. Like, there's certain songs that could express love the way I never could, right? Even I fancy myself as someone who can speak well. I'm a public speaker. I can conduct myself in settings. But there's just certain words and cadences and stanzas and melodies that can convey the emotion greater than I ever could. And after the breakup, I did not have the same desire to listen to music that I used to. And that might sound crazy to anybody who's listening to this who know me from back then, because I always had earphones in my ears. I would ride in a car with my family. We would be going to dinner and they would be trying to talk to me, and I would just have my earphones blaring in because I would want to escape from, I was the only boy. I go with 3 younger sisters. So it was just sometimes I just didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that. The favoritism my parents would show to the girls, because I would just be over it. I'm just going to my own world. I was zoned out. And I would just listen to my music all the time. Even in college, I would have my music blaring. When I stayed in a lounge my freshman year, and it was me and 3 other guys that stayed in one room, and I would have my Mariah Carey Memoirs of an Imperfect Angel. I would play that hoe every single day. And I love that album to this day. But fast forward to, and that's similar to me working in music and entertainment now. But after the breakup, I just didn't. I would hear something and I would tears would come to my eyes, or, I would feel a certain way about how I listened to this, or I would hear it in a new way. Songs that were out before I was in my relationship would sound different now because I know what love feels like. I know what losing love feels like.
And also with R&B, a lot of it's breakups.
Oh, exactly. But when you're not in a relationship, I wasn't thinking like that. It was like,
you're just like, forget her.
Yeah, I wasn't. It was just like, okay, I'm listening to it. It's like, it sounds good, but it's like now I can relate to the content, and now it's like, whoa, I'm listening with a new set of ears, and I hadn't been able to. But this year, I think within the last maybe 3 or so months, I have been able to really go back to my old catalog of music. I still keep CDs. I have CDs.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I still keep CDs, and I have a lot of my music on my old iPod backed up to my YouTube Music. So it used to be Google Music, but then they changed it to YouTube Music. So I have like somewhere around 7,500 songs like backed up of like released tracks, unreleased tracks, and stuff like that. Man. That I'm like going back and listening to and just falling in love with again. It's just like, okay, like, all right, I'm able to do that. And it makes me feel good because like music is a huge part of my life. It has always been. Always, since singing in the choir at Mount Olive Baptist Church.
Hallelujah.
My Mima, God rest her soul. She put me in the choir, and I've been listening to music all the time. So to have that break from music felt super weird, right? Which is why I fell into silence the way that I did, because it was like, okay, I'm able to deal with this in a different way. Usually I would put on a song and I'd be, good. But now it's like I have to sit with my thoughts now and be able to overcome them in a way where my mind is capable of doing so without me relying on sound. So now I've fallen back in love with it, and it's just like, whoa, like, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back here.
That's empowerment. I love that. Music is a powerful thing, man. I swear. And I love how you mentioned the whole, sometimes you think about your ex with certain songs. I got a couple songs where I'm just like, damn. Yeah. The second it plays, like, even that first note, I'm like, oh. You think about the dates or the first time y'all chat and whatever. Shout out to all the, reggaeton artists out there. Every time I hear like my boy Ozuna play, one of my favorite artists, but I go back to my ex,
Yeah, you can't listen.
Oh man, it's hard. It's hard, especially when some of the lyrics you just like they resonate a little too accurate. I'm like, hold up.
Skip.
It's wild though. Sometimes the lyrics, like we mentioned in the beginning, you're like, oh, maybe the lyrics like, oh, forget him, he's not worth your time. You listen to it originally, and then after the breakup, forget him. You're like, wait. He's not what? Wait a minute. Who recorded this? Yes. Like it's just so real. It's just insane. And then the emotional connection to it, music. It's man. It's just
music is it controls people. Like it controls people. And there's no wonder why people who are of the Christian faith know that Lucifer was the angel of music, and so when he became the devil, he tries to reach people through music, and so you got to be careful, you know what I'm saying, about like how you listen to music, about how much you consume it. And that was something that I picked up on watching with Sinners too. The movie is like that scene when him playing the guitar and at the juke joint, and you start to see like all these different generations of music come in the same scene where it's supposed to be set in the early like 1850s or something like that. But you start to see people like pop lock in, and it just the interconnectedness of music throughout times is like you really have to be careful. Like it can make you go in a spiral. I've spiraled several times listening to different artists and different songs, but they also lift me up and been there for me in ways which people couldn't. I would listen to a song and an album and I'm just like, I remember being in 7th grade. Or I remember like when I first heard The Emancipation of Mimi, I was in 8th grade. Like I remember like when I first heard my first Drake album, my first Drake song, it was just like, whoa, like those type of periods. I love being connected with my younger self in that way, because it's like, okay, everything it does end up working out. Not in the way you thought it would.
Absolutely.
But it does.
Life is so unpredictable.
Yes.
Speaking of music, man, I have to ask this question. What's your go-to karaoke song, man?
Oh my God. Yes, I love this question.
Yeah, please.
My go-to karaoke song is Sugar, We're Going Down.
No!
All Our Boys. Am I more than you bargained for yet? Like that's my song. When I was in Charlotte, I was a KJ for a bar called A2O. So I was a karaoke jockey, and
karaoke jockey. Could you tell me more about that? What's that exactly?
So we had a bar in Charlotte. It was in the North Carolina Music Factory, and they had a karaoke room, and then it was like a bar, and then it had another like dance room, right? Okay. And it was across from another place called VBGB, which had like a outdoor volleyball place.
Oh my God, that sounds vibey.
And it's still there? Yeah. VBGB is still there, I think. I don't think A2O is still there anymore. But I used to go there a lot. And one of my homegirls at the time, she was a VJ and a KJ, excuse me, and they were looking for someone else. And so she would always see me coming in. I would always sing, like, whether it was Lovers and Friends by Usher, Lil Jon, or whether it was a Fall Out Boy song, or whether it was something
anything
that I knew. I would get up there with my drink in my hand. I would go around. I would put the microphone in
Ooh,
people's face,
that's
and
the
I
vibe.
was like,
That's
hey,
the
like,
vibe.
sing with
Yeah.
me. And so she was like, you would do great with this, like being a KJ.
Yeah.
I was still teaching high school English at the time, but this was a nice little part-time job because I would go home with cash. It was free to perform, but like if you gave us tips, we would move your name up the list, right? So I got the job as a KJ, and I would, I think we were open from Wednesday to Sunday.
Okay.
So there were certain days of the week that I would be there and, do certain songs. And I had a group of friends who we all did this teaching program together.
Yes,
I became a teacher. It was called Teach Charlotte. It was under the TNTP, the New Teacher Project.
Okay.
Is what it stood for. And we all did that program, and we would do this thing called BFD, Breakfast for Dinner, on Wednesdays, and we would all get to this one couple's house, and we would go, do breakfast for dinner. But there were certain times we would go out to bars and do like karaoke and stuff. And I grew up like playing like Madden and stuff like that. So like, and if you play Madden before, you would know they would have a lot of like alternative bands on the soundtrack. So like,
all of those sports on FIFA, I remember.
Yes, they will always have that. So Good Charlotte, Fall Out Boy, Yellow Card, like a lot of those like bands.
Punk rock too.
So like I really took like it was 2003 to 2006. Like that was the time where I was like exploring different music outside of like what people expected me to explore. Like I wasn't like hugely into hip hop back then. I was into like my mom's like one of the first CDs my mom bought me. She gave me that Slick Rick cassette tape back when I was younger. But one of the first CDs I remember her buying me was Yellow Card's Ocean Avenue album. And there's a place on Ocean Avenue. Like that was my
that's crazy, bro.
And so I really fell in love with like the art boy, like
with the guitar, like dun 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 dun. Oh man, oh man, Band Hero with rock, all the rock, all guitar, oh my god, they had all those. Man, that's crazy. Yeah. I know. He got seasoning everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Salt and pepper. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's my go-to karaoke song, and I will sing some of those other records that I know. I like to sing crowd pleasing records because I want the people to be in. I want them. I don't want to get up there. I'm not one of the people that wants to get up there and act like I'm about to get a record label.
Yeah,
like
Mariah Carey up on this.
No, I'm not gonna give that. I want to have fun. So I'm going to sing a Fall Out Boy. I'll sing a Yellow Card song because I love Ocean Avenue, Only You, certain songs like that. I'm in love with their friends is another crowd pleaser. People know that. If I am going to like give my vocals, I'll sing You Got It Bad by Usher. If I'm going to go up there and do something, I'll sing that because I have a rendition of it that... Because my voice doesn't go as high as his, so I'm able to kind of like...
But he's also crazy. His voice...
Twist it.
He's amazing.
But yeah, I enjoyed my time as a KJ. I made a lot, like I would go home with like $80 in cash,
nice,
$100 in cash for a day. That was like super, and it was like maybe 15 minutes from my house, so I could drive there and hang there. And I would get, we weren't allowed to drink, but I would have a little drink. I would have a little
just
drink.
like the uniforms, you found a way.
One thing about me,
hey, Thomas found a way.
Of all the things I hold in high regard, rules are not one of them. It's not.
There's a way to bend and twist.
Yeah,
there's always a way. Oh my god, I didn't know you knew all those. That's so.
Oh, yeah,
man, you throw me back, man. My cousin used to love like the punk rock, like All American Reject, like that era.
Yeah,
all Avril Lavigne. When she was popping out, she was
complicated.
Oh my god, that song got me.
Listen,
sometimes I listen to it now. I'm like,
chill out, what you yelling for? Lay back, it's all been done before. Like, yes. I would have like in my room, me and my parents, my family, we lived in a 4-bedroom apartment in Woodland Springs in PG County. And like once I started putting stuff on my walls, this was like in my like white girl phase. I would love the pop girls. So like
yes.
Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan and Ashley Simpson and all those girls. So, like Pieces of Me by Ashley Simpson was my song. Like MTV, what was it? TRL. TRL would come on, and so Yesterday by Hilary Duff.
Oh my goodness!
Yes,
that is a good Hilary Duff too. Shout out to her.
She is a cultural icon.
Yes, and she's like one of those like Disney stars that didn't go like crazy.
Yeah, she got head on her shoulders still.
Yeah, for real. Not like Orlando Brown.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! That's crazy. I didn't know about that. Oh my god, we gotta have karaoke there because I gotta see that live. That song just it takes me back to the simpler days, like middle school. For me, that vibe was interesting because I listened to a lot of that during a time where being probably like the only other Asian kid where my school was super diverse in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Like they had a lot of like Hispanics, a lot of Black community over there, rarely any Asian. So for me, I just tried to listen to all types of music, kind of blend in. But it was a blessing because I got to listen to that type of, white people music. We love y'all for that. Shout out to them because that music really hits for some reason. And also the lyrics were easier to like grasp.
Yes.
Because they enunciated the words a little easier because, I love my rappers out there, but sometimes it's too fast for me.
Yeah. And I miss that era too because like, and to your point, like white people music is pop and alternative music, but like that was back when white artists wanted to be white. And it was okay. Like they wasn't trying to be Black artists. They weren't trying to be your Post Malones and all. They were okay making the pop music that they were making. And they were proud. And it was great because like everybody had their lane, but you could listen to a top 40 station and you can hear everybody and it all flowed perfectly. I miss that time. Like that time was we're not going to get that back. Yeah. That 2003 to like 2006, 2007.
Oh yeah, right before like 2010. That was like the peak. And also R&B, I miss that era. My boy Chris Brown.
When R&B was R&B, and it wasn't like like trying to be hip hop. It was strictly R&B.
Oh my goodness, man. Shout out to they gotta come back now. I think Usher's still performing, right?
Yeah, he's still out there.
I know Chris Brown got his tour coming up.
Yes, he is coming to stadiums this time too.
It's gonna. I think it's 20-year anniversary. He's one of my favorite artists. So like, I'm excited.
He's great.
I've seen him once live in Connecticut, and the song that always gets me.
With the double commercial.
But I remember going back to it. I'm like, I definitely seen this commercial growing up.
Yeah.
And then now it's just like its own song. Now I'm like, that's my favorite song forever. That I always get goosebumps.
His debut album was the first album I purchased with my own money. I bought a bootleg first because my dad and I we had took a bus trip to New York for a day, and we went on Canal Street and Jamaica Avenue are like huge like shopping markets in New York where people go and shop and get their knock off handbags and stuff like that.
Everything,
So it was a man that was selling Chris Brown's CD. And I had heard Run It, and I had heard Yo on the radio and stuff like that. I was like, he was like, but I got the new Chris Brown CD, and he was like, it's $5, but I only had $3 left. So I was like, I only got $3, and so he was like, okay, here, I'll give it to you. And I played on my CD player on the trip back home. So out, my dad had to tap me and tell me to turn it down because people were trying to sleep on the bus when I'm at home. But I remember that. And then when I got my first check from my first ever job that I worked was a porter for a bowling alley, for Parkland Bowling Alley. So like I was like cleaning the toilets.
Wow.
And the bowling alley, I would get if you would throw a ball in the gutter, got stuck, I would have to go fetch
No way. Oh my God.
I was that
wow.
person. And when I got my first check, my first full check, I spent it all on CDs. And Chris Brown's album was one of those CDs that I had bought.
Oh my God. And the bootleg CD, did it have like any alterations in it?
No, the bootleg CD had everything that the regular CD had. But when I bought the real CD came with like a DVD. So it was like a 2-disc, and then the DVD I put it in my computer, and I could see like the music video. That was like one of the first like music videos things attached to it. So yeah, I remember that very, very, very vividly. He had the graffiti writing on the CD.
Ooh, yeah. Oh my goodness, that's amazing, man. No, it's just because you take me back because my dad used to always get like the bootleg movies for everything.
Yes, my dad too.
We had a band once where you just put it in, the movie would be playing, but out of nowhere, some crazy image comes out of nowhere. It's
or somebody come walking across the movie theater. Walking across the TV, like,
yo, pass me the popcorn. And like, what in the world is happening?
Yes.
And then, so that's so funny.
Yes.
That's the passion for the music right there. Passion for the music, man. All right, man. So our final talking point today. We're going to talk about sensuality in this section. How do you keep pleasure alive, man, during the chaotic moments in life?
I really like to indulge in like food.
Big foodie over here. Okay.
Like I love trying new food. Then I also like, I'm now in a phase where I like massages. Like I'll call a masseuse to my home. Set that massage chair up. I'll be in the shower. I come out of my robe. I have me a glass of wine, low lights, candles on, and I just get like a massage for 2 hours. Like those are something I like because I also like, working and being on my feet so much, like I need to get my limbs stretched and stuff like that. But then like I love food. Like I love trying new foods. I am a huge watcher of the Food Network. My homeboys would tell you, like, I used to make us watch the Food Network when we go into my room and smoke. And everybody would be like, yo, I'm hungry, man. We got the Food Network going. I'm like, I mean, what you want me to do? Because it's not going off. I used to watch Chopped all the time. Just learning how to cook. Chopped is one of the best shows.
That's one of the. Oh my god, you took me back, bro. Oh my god,
like,
I think I watched. So I don't even know. I watched so many episodes.
So many seasons. I know all the. I hated when they started changing the new judges. And there was even Alex Bonachelli. We don't need that. Alex Bonachelli, Aaron Sanchez, Scott Conant, what's my girl, Amanda Freitag.
Yes.
Like all of them. I love Food Network, and that made me into a foodie. So like I really like trying new foods. Or like I order something like I'll pay for food, like, and I hate paying money for bad food.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god, that's the worst pet food, right?
So, like, my pleasure is like getting me something nice to eat, like
the solo dates, like you mentioned.
Yes, on my solo dates, or just ordering in sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I order like a seafood boil, and I'll be in the house just tearing that thing up.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes I can't have people see me eat. Because I go in with the come to the food. My friends be like, yo, like you make that taste good. Like I want to try that. I'm like,
you make that taste good. I love that.
I'm sorry. I go in when it comes to eating. I really enjoy food. Like I really, really, really enjoy food.
Man, it all comes back. I love how also you mentioned when you were teaching in high school.
Yeah.
Having the different foods and everything. So it all connects.
Yeah.
This is the story of Thomas, everybody, right here. The legend, the living legend himself right here, man. So what other projects are coming up with you? I know you mentioned the PRocon, right? PRocon.
Yeah.
And anything else beyond that that's coming up soon for you?
Yeah, I am in talks with a company. They are producing a television show in DC about the 1980s crack epidemic.
Okay.
It's similar to like a Power universe type of situation, but they were looking for someone to come on and do live events and experiential strategy.
Wow.
So right now I'm in talks with them about, just salary expectations first, because everything is hypothetical until we start talking money.
Amen.
I love what I do, but I also am in a place in my life where I have been getting paid to do this work because I've been doing it at such a high level for so long.
Consistently too.
Yeah, we're in communications. They're actually one of the actors who shot the proof of concept, the pilot.
Yeah.
And so he came out to the BET Awards and we met in person. And
we realized
we knew each other from a student leadership conference maybe 10 years ago, but we ended up reconnecting. And so I'm in talks with them to like finalize my title and roles and responsibilities and start helping them build the world around the show. So like similar to what we did for Squid Games, I'm looking to do like an immersive experience where you walk in and you're transported back to the world and you get to interact with elements that were there, like payphones and big back TVs and like stuff like that kind of like show the world. We're also working on Mimosa City 2026, City Festival 2026. So be on the lookout for that. And then I also am trying to bring my talent management company back for which I added event management as a part of my talent management company, but I do have 3 artists who I manage their careers. One is in Tokyo right now. Shout out to Jenny D. She's on vacation in Tokyo. She's a female rapper. Her project is done. It's been sitting and it's ready to be done. We just need to shoot music videos, get the single choices done so we can go ahead and put her out. My artist After 10, he is getting ready to put out another project. I'm super excited for him. He just released something last September called What Is. Love Is. I don't remember. but it's a 3-track EP, and I really like that. And then my newest act that I signed, his name is Ace Henderson, and he is signed to Sony through AWOL Distribution, and he has had his music played on this 5th season of Insecure, so he has got some scene placements there. His music is played in New York Fashion Week, and so I'm just honored that he entrusted me to be his manager to help him with this next phase of his career, because we met on this app Clubhouse, and met in person when I came out here to visit LA. We weren't even like, I wasn't even decided on moving here, but I came to visit him. We, just established a good rapport, and he saw me at Dreamville Festival 2023, kind of like doing my due. He was like, bro, like when I get out of my contract, I want to talk to you about your management. And so like, he's the newest act that I just brought on. And so we're just now trying to strategize for his project to come out. He just released an EP that came out before with some of my favorite songs that he's ever done on it. But yeah, I'm excited for his new project to come out this year. So yeah, Championship Division is the name of my talent agency. I'm looking to get a website landing page done for that. But this television show I'm doing experiential strategy and live events for Mimosa City Festival 2026 and PRocon August 23rd, 2025.
A lot of things. I'm proud of you. And eventually, the long-term senator stuff is is coming soon. Manifestation. We're doing all that good stuff.
I got to get somebody to clear like my social media history first.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We'll find someone. I'll talk to someone in Meta.
I was
I
on
got
the
you.
Twittering.
Oh, okay. That
Yes.
one might be tough to do.
Yes,
delete.
I was on the Twittering.
We'll figure out on the second part of it. We'll figure out somehow. But I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much.
Your family, man, great to see you. I'm glad you're doing amazing things. Like I already knew you were going to do amazing things, but to hear it, to absorb it, and to connect on Avril Lavigne. What a beautiful episode. Great times, amazing times. Y'all, you got to follow the Instagram at
Thomas J _.
Yes, sir. And then at Patty Show Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that good stuff. Tinder, stop playing. You know, all that good stuff. You know, my mom tells me I should get married soon. Love you, Mom. We love you.
Yes.
We love our moms. And then pattysettiati.com/podcast, pattyshow.podbean.com, and all that good stuff. Why don't we end with a little arigato for all the people out there? On 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Arigato. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of The Patty Show. I hope you had as much fun as I did exploring the crossing point of the 3 Ps: passion, pleasure, and positivity. If you want to keep the Patty Party going, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all social platforms at Patty Show Podcast. Share this episode and leave a positive review. PattySettiati.com/podcast, as well as pattyshow.podbean.com have got more of your Patty Show needs. In the meantime, keep passionately pursuing your personal paradise. Arigato.